On now to our next focus this evening. The Director General of Civil Aviation has suspended two senior executives of AirAsia for 3 months over safety violations. This includes their head of operations and the head of flight safety. This comes after Captain Gaurav Taneja, who joins us in a few moments, one of the pilots on the airline, alleged that he was suspended and then sacked by the airline for standing up for flight safety. Now, in a video that he put up on Facebook, Taneja has alleged that the airline makes them land their planes with a particular flap setting that saves fuel but may not be safe. He also alleges that AirAsia's policy discouraged pilots from calling in sick. Now, we've also reached out to AirAsia and they've come back to us to say that they don't want to be a part of this particular debate, but they are looking very closely at what the Director General of Civil Aviation has instructed them. But let me just go quite quickly across to Captain Gaurav Taneja. We're also joined by the air safety expert, Captain Amit Singh. Captain Taneja, as I understand it, the same people who suspended you have now been suspended by the DGCA. Is that right?
Yes, Vishnu, that is correct. I have raised my complaints several times through proper channels. While I was working for them, I flagged them the issues that it is unsafe, and there will be one day when everything will go against you, and these policies can lead to an accident. And they dismissed everything, and then I wrote my complaint to DGCA. There was no response from DGCA. Finally, I had no choice but to take it to social media because this was affecting people's life, people's safety. And then suddenly it rang bells all around and some action was taken.
And when you approached your own airline for a particular response or you raised your concern, what did they say? Did they say anything?
Said that, yes, I raised the issue, and I asked them, is this 98% policy, is it approved by DGCA or is it an SOP? Because I have worked in other organizations as well, Vishnu, and what is the industry standard? All the industries, all the airlines, all the operators, we understand they want to make money, and we want bread on our table, and we want to save money for the company. We want to save fuel, and we want to operate our aircraft as efficiently as possible. But there are certain times when you land at certain airports with short runways, with steep flight slope, with steep approach, with tailwinds, with winds, and especially in monsoon season, in pre-monsoon season, where in Northeast India the weather can change like this. It is the pilot's responsibility. That's where his years and years of training comes into picture. He takes a call that what configuration is safe for the aircraft.
Landing.
But I wrote to them,
Captain,
is it
one
a recommendation?
Sure.
Or a SOP? They replied me, no, this is a SOP. If you are not following it, we will retrain you. This is the word they used, retrain you. So they were trying to punish me. They were trying to take a punitive action against me.
Captain Amit Singh, is this part of a larger problem? The effort to try and save fuel, the effort to discourage pilots from falling unwell, or even if they are unwell, to sort of try and get them back to work?
It's basically a lack of understanding of the safety management systems and the preamble of safety. So safety is a dilemma of two P's, production and protection. Anything in excess is not good for the system. But in day-to-day operation, commercials and operations take over and safety is pushed to the back seat. That is often seen. So safety, the head of safety does not have a say, major say, even though he is accountable. He or she is accountable to the regulator, who is ultimately responsible for the risk. Now, there's a triangle pyramid in safety called Heinrich pyramid, which says that before a major accident, there are about 3,000 near misses and about 30 incidents. Then you come to a major accident. We have seen in the past 2019 number of runway excursions, and this year also we had that FedEx runway excursion at Mumbai, then followed by an accident. So this is a normal trend we see, and safety is only called when something big happens, which is in the reactive mode. Lack of understanding from the operator side and the regulator side. Both of them, basically, there's a collusion. So we have a blinkered vision of safety, which means we will do the bare minimum for safety. The rest is towards generating money. But that doesn't work because at the end of it, there are some insured costs and lot of uninsured costs, which are 5 to 10 times more. Loss of life, loss of near and dear ones. You can't equate that. Loss of reputation. So if aircraft is insured, say for compensation, you get about 250 million.
Okay.
So more than 400, 500 million you lose in terms of uninsured cost.
Sure.
So organizations do not look at the long-term perspective. Quality control and safety pay back in the long term. They are not revenue generators, but they are loss preventers.
But I also
wanted
to...
philosophy is not known to them.
Captain Taneja, now one of the things that you did do is you went to social media. You've broadcast your views very strongly on social media. Is that something that brought you directly in conflict with your company's policies? Was the reason to suspend you at the onset your decision to go vocal on this in the manner in which you did?
No, Vishnu, actually, when I went vocal right from December 2019, then Jan, and then February, I wrote that this policy of making sick reporting a punitive action is not good, and they accepted that, yeah, what you're saying is correct, Captain, but then they try to put everything under the carpet. And actually, I could sense that they are not liking me raising all the issues. And finally, they suspended me for flagging the safety issues. In March, I raised the issue that the COVID norms were not being followed, the DGCA circulars were not being followed. And this was just me writing to the management and nothing else. I mean, I was doing that for a good 3 to 4 months.
All right. I just wanted to, as I begin to wrap this up, and wanted to read out a statement from AirAsia because we want to be fair to them as well. AirAsia India acknowledges the receipt of the notice from DGCA last month and has complied with the directions of the regulator and appointed an interim post holders in accordance with the regulator's directions. As an airline that prioritizes safety above all, we continue to engage with the authorities and exercise the option to appeal for redressal. Captain Amit Singh, Captain Taneja was speaking about a particular airline, but do you find there are other steps taken by other airlines which actually push the threshold when it comes to safety? He's spoken about flap settings, he's spoken about days off and people falling unwell. What are some of the areas where rules have been bent?
Well, before COVID, when the airlines were expanding like anything, the biggest factor was fatigue. And worldwide, it is acknowledged that fatigue is a big risk. The London School of Economics also has done a large study citing that number of pilots, 1 out of every 4 pilots will be fatigued. So that is a risk. And we have seen in every accident, there is an element of fatigue. In Mangalore especially, after that, the investigation report recommended that fatigue risk management system be made mandatory for the airlines.
Yeah.
But ICAO also has made it optional. They have told that prescriptive fatigue management is mandatory, but the risk management from the risk point of view is recommendatory if you can do it. But as I said, we stick to the bare minimums, and bare minimums, we ask for exemptions. Every airline, in order to complete a flight, they will exceed the flight duty limits at some point of time, then ask for exemptions. So we have exemption has become a rule, in sorts, which means you just file a 10-page format that in so and so month we have given so much extension. But why are we continuing to do that? Is it a problem? So safety management system is not working. So the airlines are pushing basically to minimize the number of the people they are hiring and expanding exponentially.
Sure.
So the growth of the airline has to be managed.
Sure. Captain Taneja, one last question to you. You're in a difficult situation now. You've run foul of your employer, your former employer. How do you hope to see your future in aviation? You've taken a certain decision. Many would say it's gutsy. How do you see your own future now going forward?
I actually see it on the flip side that I am the guy who stood for safety, and I am now proved right. So, I mean, if I would have proved wrong, then obviously you could say that my future is a question mark. But now I think when I'm proved right, that's all I have to say. I stood up for something. I stood up for safety, which no pilot did. I had the guts to stand up for public safety, and I'm proved right now.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank both of you very much for joining us, looking at a concern that a lot of people have spoken about in the past, and we'll focus on it again. Airlines cutting corners when it comes to the issue of flight safety for all sorts of reasons. And if you do speak up, then there could be trouble for you. But the airlines do believe differently. We've read out their statement as well. I'd like to thank you both very much for joining us.